Welcome to this explainer. So, you got a raise last year, right? Maybe it was 5%, maybe even 7. And you probably remember thinking, okay, great, I'm finally going to feel this. But then, somewhere around month 2, that feeling just completely faded. Now you're staring at your bank balance at the end of the month, and honestly, it doesn't look meaningfully different from before the raise. Look, I know the frustration you're feeling right now, but I'm here to tell you that you are not going crazy. The math is fundamentally broken, not your spending habits.
I want you to ask yourself a pretty tough question right now. Did your last raise actually increase your savings? For the vast majority of you watching, the honest answer is a flat no. And the real kicker here is it's not because you suddenly started living this lavish lifestyle. It's simply because your existing expenses ate up that entire increase before it ever even had a chance to hit your savings account.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll dive into the $668 reality check. Then we'll uncover the silent pay cut, tackle the housing math problem, and examine the boiling frog effect. And finally, don't worry, I promise I won't just leave you with the heavy stuff. By the end, we are absolutely going to cover how to actually win against this system. All right, let's jump right into part 1, the $668 reality check, and see exactly where a median salary actually goes. Let's look at the exact budget of a median earner making $59,000 a year in 2026. Keep in mind, we aren't talking about worst-case scenarios here. We're talking about the exact middle of the pack. It is absolutely incredible how fast a seemingly decent take-home pay just vanishes on the absolute bare-bone essentials. You start with $3,903 after taxes. You pay a modest $1,650 in rent, you buy groceries, pay for your car, utilities, health insurance, and that lingering student loan. Throw in a responsible 5% 401k contribution, and suddenly, you're left with a painfully small $668 remaining for the entire month. Let's put that into perspective. That $668 breaks down to just $22 a day. $22 a day for dining out, buying a friend a wedding gift, clothing, emergency car repairs, or, any semblance of fun whatsoever. This proves what you've suspected all along. You aren't spending recklessly. The system is just incredibly tight. Which brings us to part 2, the silent pay cut, comparing 2019 to 2026. Because listen, this $668 remainder hasn't always been the normal reality. Something major has shifted beneath our feet over the last few years. If we run the exact same median budget for the year 2019, the monthly remainder was actually $1,003. Today, in 2026, it's $668. That is a shocking 33% decline in real monthly discretionary purchasing power. And remember, that's even after accounting for the fact that the median income actually grew over that time period. Your salary went up, but your buying power went drastically down. And this brilliantly illustrates that silent pay cut. From 2020 to 2026, cumulative inflation hit roughly 27%, but the median pay raise over that same exact period was only about 18%. So most Americans took a silent 9% cut to their purchasing power simply because inflation drastically outpaced wage increases. No one announced it, right? But everybody's bank account absolutely felt it. Moving on to part 3, the housing math problem and why homeownership feels almost fictional right now. Let's talk about the largest expense of all and why the math around housing has become structurally impossible for so many people watching this explainer right now. The median home price today sits around $430,000. Now, to comfortably afford that, meaning your housing costs don't exceed 28% of your gross income, you need an income of $131,000 a year. But the median American household income is only $77,000. That means the required income to buy a perfectly normal home is a massive 70% higher than what the median household actually earns. So the crucial takeaway here is this. Your parents or grandparents didn't buy homes because they were just, better at skipping lattes. They bought homes because the financial environment was fundamentally different. Back in 1980, a home cost just 2.6 times the median salary. Today, it costs nearly 7 times your salary. It's literally a completely different world. This leads us to Section 4, the boiling frog effect and those invisible costs. If the math is genuinely this broken, why aren't people just panicking in the streets? Why does it just feel like an everyday annoyance rather than a 5-alarm fire? Well, psychologists call this the boiling frog phenomenon. As humans, we metabolize a massive $550 rent hike not as one catastrophic event, but as 5 separate, annoying yearly increases. Because the prices of eggs, rent, and insurance crept up incrementally, we kind of just accepted the permanent baseline shift without really recognizing the full weight of the bigger picture. And adding to that squeeze are these completely invisible costs. Standard budgeting advice rarely prepares you for childcare that costs $2,000 a month, which effectively erases a second earner's take-home pay altogether. Or the thousands in out-of-pocket healthcare minimums. Or service inflation, where plumbers and mechanics are charging nearly double what they used to. These drain your bank account every single month without ever showing up neatly on a spreadsheet. All of this leads us to one absolute mathematical certainty. The gap between a median salary and a comfortable life in 2026 is at least $20,000. And listen to me closely on this one. You simply cannot close a $20,000 gap by cutting out small luxuries. You cannot coupon your way to an extra 20 grand. The math just does not work. Okay, so let's get to part 5, how to actually win. It's time for a math reframe. I know that reality is incredibly heavy. But here is exactly how we use this math to fight back and actually win in this economy. First things first, drop the shame. Right now. This is not a personal failure story. It is a math story. And math can change. You are successfully surviving an abnormal system. Your daily struggle is a structural math problem, and the absolute beautiful thing about math is that it can change if you change the variables. The mathematical solution requires 2 completely non-negotiable steps. Step 1, strictly protect your 5% retirement contribution. Step 2, execute one deliberate, high-leverage income-boosting move in the next 12 months. Let's look at step 1. Do not fall into the mental trap of waiting for better conditions to start investing. Because honestly, pausing that 5% contribution for just 5 years during your 30s will cost you roughly $97,000 in lost retirement wealth due to missed compound interest. You have got to stay the course, even when things are tight. Now for step 2, the income side. Learning a high-value skill and negotiating just a single $10,000 raise today is incredibly powerful. If you invest just half of that raise every year, the compounding effect can yield nearly $1 million by the time you retire. Income growth is the single highest leverage move you can make right now. Remember that initial $668 leftover we discussed earlier? Well, that is just your baseline. It's not your ceiling. A single $15,000 job change more than doubles that remainder to over $1,500 a month. You aren't trapped at the baseline. You just have to recognize it as the place you are launching from. Hey, if seeing the true, unfiltered math behind the economy shifted your perspective today, make sure you like this explainer, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon. You really don't want to miss our upcoming financial roadmaps, where we're going to continue breaking down exactly how to outsmart this system. I'm going to leave you with this final, powerful thought to ponder. You now know the system is broken, and you know the exact rules it operates by. So will you let the system's math define your finish line? Or what is the very first move you're going to make today to change your own mathematical baseline? Thank you so much for watching, and go make that move.